JDG that went to the World's quarterfinals in 2020. They are a team that are struggling for identity despite literally not changing a thing. So we'll see what they're able to kind of go with its roster. We have FPX on the blue, JDG on the red. We'll quickly go through the bans. Udyr, Gragas, Azir, the Samira, the Kai'Sa, and the Nidalee all banned away. The Lilia first pick there by FPX. Renekton and Zoe are their answers for JDG.
Hyper early game focus coming out from JD Gaming. These are not picks that scale well into the late game, and they're also showcasing that this Renekton is 100% just going into the top side. I don't really like this draft from JD Gaming. I don't think Zoe is a power pick right now in the meta because she doesn't build tier, and showcasing your Renekton this early is just asking for trouble. It's a bit of a confusing red side draft. I don't think I've seen anyone draft this way by showing their solo lanes on the first rotation.
Yeah, and this opens up a lot of different options for FPX. You can give that Tristana to Lwx. It could go to Doinb. There's a lot of different options here available to you, and this is a hard one, if you will, to kind of like figure out from the side of JDG, because yes, you've locked in the Xayah, but now your supports can get locked in. I feel like this is again, like you said, weird to lock in your solo laners so early when the jungle, and it might as well be the bot lane for FPX, have locked in. They can pick and choose what they want here.
11.3 should still be rather jungle focused, so I'm surprised to see so many, the jungle's not even looked at by JD Gaming. Olaf, of course, still on the board, probably the strongest one in this composition. And I'm not exactly sure what JD Gaming are drafting for right now, because their two solo lanes are very aggressive, very early game focused. They need to snowball, but their bottom lane in Xayah is typically defensive. Against the Rell, you can't really do much pre-level 6. Rell just has way too much pressure over you with the crash down, and FPX are very smartly banning away Rell counters. They're probably going to take away the Thresh as well. They've already taken away both the Gragas and the Alistar that can stop the crash down, so the Thresh is probably next on board.
Yep, looking to take away those safe ones. You could obviously combo the Rakan. LvMao has played that quite a bit, and you know, the past obviously it hasn't been as prominently picked in recent days. Hasn't really fit with the meta, but still very, very strong when you combo it in with that Xayah. We'll see what FPX want to prioritize, and they actually go for the Olaf. So not giving Kanavi the option to go with something aggressive, not giving him something that can go toe to toe with the Lilia, and seeing if Beichuan can get a little bit of advantage now with this Lilia pick.
Yeah, I think Lilia, just in terms of the tier rating, is definitely on top here. Still not sure where JD Gaming is going. Not a lot of support options to go for. They have revealed all of their cards, so they don't have flexibility there either. They know this set is definitely going to go into the bot lane, and this is an interesting one. I wonder how it will work. We haven't seen this matchup at all in the LPL so far. But if I'm looking at it, then I think the gank pressure should still be in favor of FPX. They have Lilia coming in, and Crashdown or Mount Up is just so scary against Xayah. They have that Tristana that can jump away, so they can stay safer or play more aggressively if they so choose to pre-6.
Yeah, they have the, like we said, the draft was just a bit weird. They have the pick of the litter here for pretty much anything and everything that they could ever want. Hell, Teemo as well. Why the hell not? Do like the Kled, though. We are seeing Doinb go towards more of those bruisers in the mid lane. It's kind of leaning towards more team fighting and kind of seeing if he can shore up those differences. As FPX, they recognize the meta isn't about solo carries anymore. They recognize that it is about the team fights, and that's exactly where they want to be putting this emphasis.
And I do want to mention that Doinb's Kled this season has actually been much more tank focused. We have seen a lot of second item stared gauges coming out, not going for bruisers, as bruisers usually take it third. So this is essentially a tank in the mid lane. That's how Doinb kind of plays it. It's mainly just for initiation and lane priority. Doesn't deal a lot of damage by himself, but it's extremely difficult to kill. So it will back up that front line. In the meantime, we do have this blue Kayn coming out for Kanavi. An interesting pick here, and I'm not sure I like it that much, because when I'm looking at the Renekton and the Zoe, this is a feast or famine draft. If they get ahead early and blue Kayn somehow gets to transform like pre-13 minutes, then it can be really good. But if Renekton and Zoe don't find anything, and they're not getting a lot of help from pre-transformation Kayn, then this comp can just kind of die. Like, it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it basically, as you say, it's feast or famine. You either go super far ahead that you're gluttonous, or you get, you know, completely isolated away that you just can't do anything at all. But curious little thing there. Last time Lwx did play the Tristana, it was in 2018. It was a loss, so definitely something that he hasn't had a massive amount of recent proficiency on. So I'm curious to see how he'll do on the pick. And again, looking towards this game, looking towards these drafts, who are you favorite? I feel like, as you said, with the Feast of Famine, I feel like I can answer my question for you and saying that you're probably feeling FPX have the advantage here.
I think FPX has the far superior composition. They have a more impactful jungle earlier on. They have this Gnar that's a counter pick. Zoe can't do anything against the Kled in mid lane. He just has too much HP. We're going to have to land like 3 rotations to even take him off, to even dismount him. So I think it's very difficult for JD Gaming to find the edge that they're looking for with these picks.
Well, we are on to the Rift for our second series of the day. FPX versus JDG would be a very hype matchup in the previous years, but this year with so much turbulence, so much uncertainty with both rosters, it's very difficult for us to really feel like this one can be a bar burner. They're not exactly the powerhouses they were in 2020, but for FPX, this could be a very big win if they're able to take it. And for JDG, both sides sitting on 3 losses. For FPX, they have 7 wins, and for JDG, they have 6 wins. So this could be huge for them.
Looks like we are getting some cheers out of the Beijing arena, as JD Gaming's full name actually has the city in here now. That's some of the interesting things that we have been seeing about franchising. Also in the PCS, we have like teams with just the municipal names attached on side. So kind of interesting to see that direction happening in the league world. We are going to be taking a look at the runes. Pretty standard across the board here. Nothing too surprising. We will take note of Lwx. He actually is going for a kill lane runes in the Hell of the Blades. Some people have been taking Press the Attack, which is a better team fighting room overall, but Hail of Blades gives you a little bit more pressure when your jungle comes.
Has a lot more, as you say, pressure, can definitely capitalize. And Tristana, despite being seen as a 3-item hyper carry, her level 2 is insane. She has so much burst damage to be able to put down, so you do have to be very, very careful on that particular front. Shouldn't be too much of a big deal for the side of JDG, though. They've got a little bit of a push here going for them. LvMao and Chris fighting over the vision in that single bush in the middle. And it looks like JDG, they're the ones that have the priority right now. They're the ones that are going to be able to get level 2 first and be able to push back this bot lane of FPX.
Yeah, they are going to have a pretty strong trade coming in here, as Loken does find a bit of damage. And talking about...
for a little bit of trade.
Yeah, talking about Tristana, I'm always so surprised that she actually has a 60% slow. That's the thing that makes her really overpowered in the early game, especially in jungle ganks. It's probably the best level 1 slow that any champion has.
Yeah, it feels a little bit oppressive. Now, there is obviously a trade-off to that where you are putting yourself literally on top of people. So, you know, you're not exactly a ranged carry at that moment in time. But I do agree with you. It can feel very, very oppressive. And it's why we do see, generally speaking, the Tristana will go level 2. You also see a combo with something that is generally quite good in the early stages. You never really see it with a Thresh. You'll generally see it with like a Rell or an Alistar, something that has the same kind of follow-up potential. For FPX, obviously brought in Beichuan, who... has had a difficult time, I feel. Definitely not a bad time. Has not looked terrible, but definitely feeling like he's a lot of pressure on him for the hole that Bull has left, and for Tien as well. Like Tien was always, in my eyes anyway, considered one of the best players that we had, and for him to not be able to play, to see that he's not fit to play, it just, there's a lot of expectations there when you're coming into a lineup like this.
Yeah, it definitely makes us feel quite sad that we're not going to see our finals MVP play for a while. Gonna see Kanavi meet up with Beichuan. Kanavi does find the smite there, I believe. So, decent defense. And finals MVP just seems to be a curse in the LPL. Condi got his finals MVP and then just fell into the gambling incident the next year. Ning is no longer playing. Tien is no longer playing. So, we produce a lot of great junglers, but there seems to be a bit of a curse that our best of the best just seem to fall off relatively quickly.
I think as well, like, it comes down to burnout. We talk about this so many times, but the LPL season, you combo it in with things like the Demacia Championship, the World Championship, MSI. There is almost no break for anybody. And when you're not playing League of Legends on a stage, you're playing League of Legends at home. And when you want to try and relax after a full day of scrims, what do? You try and, get on your Smurf and play League of Legends. It engulfs your entire life. It feels like it's just the burnout is so real. And with now a Kanavi sneaking himself behind that one, this could be Nuguri in a lot of bad moves. Just have Mega Gnar very shortly, but Zoom's already taken him down to about below a third. Jumps back up to about half, and Nuguri just trying to walk away from this. Will find it very difficult as Kanavi is chasing him down. And should be able to get him to force his flash. Yeah, and Nuguri keeps himself safe, but Kanavi is still around and might still look to try and dive him if he does stay a little bit too long.
It's pretty good use of Kanavi's Shadow Step. He goes around the vision. Doesn't look like Nuguri was able to spot him out there. And that's what you have to do early on as Kayn. We have seen a couple of Kayns in the LPL so far, but none of them have actually had an impactful early game. I think people just know how to dance around him, and his solo potential, while untransformed, is rather weak. So we will see how that one plays out. And just to mention this game, I do think it's possible we even see a bit of a red Kayn come out. We have seen Gold Drinker Red Kayn and Blue Drinker, not Blue Drinker, and the Assassin Blue Kayn coming out with a Prowler's Claw. Typically, it has been the Blue Kayn version that's been a bit more popular across the different leagues. But this time around, I don't think he's going to find that many great targets. And this team does lack a little bit in the front line. So I wonder which one he will go for during the transformation.
Yeah, we'll see why he wants to kind of push it. But now FPX Nuguri, without his flash, is being bullied up into this top side. However, he did have the push already set up, and that does mean that everybody's in top side. Free Drake for the side of FPX. They absorb the pressure, and they do punish JDG very nicely. But again, this is kind of to be expected. We mentioned this in the start before this series did kick off. FPX have looked good pre-15 minutes. It's after 15 minutes that we kind of have questions about, and that's where we want to see them kind of shore up their differences.
The first Drake fight is going to tell us all the answers that we want to know, and it's coming up really soon. Doinb already has the charge in line, and this bottom lane has been pushing, has been having priority the entire way through. So I do expect on the next Drake, FPX will try to set up a situation where they can run at the opponents, go all in. They have a very strong composition with that. The charge gives the entire team 60% movement speed, and with that going in, I think it's super easy for Crisp to follow up. So JD Gaming have to be very careful. I don't think this is a team where you can actually try to flank FPX. If you try to flank FPX, they can very easily decide on one side.
Well, third time's the charm here as Kanavi finds him up topside, has got the ultimate, but a great hop away. Nuguri's doing so well at just keeping everyone away from him. Just going, no, not today, no, not today, no, not today. Just very nicely done. And it's frustrating for JDG because they're not getting the purchase that they want.
That's the thing about Kayn in the early game. It's he's pre-transformation, he's just kind of trash. Like, he doesn't have any hard crowd control. He can barely land the slow. He has to use terrain to his advantage to get behind you. And he does often waste a lot of time trying to get those transformation orbs. He just has... he's just a champion that has too much on his plate in the early game to try and do. Trying to keep his lanes up, trying to farm out, and trying to find his transformation all at the same time. And now JD Gaming are trying for a very opportunistic Herald.
Yeah, and you see FPX are wise to their tricks, but they have 4 people here. This could be a 4v4. Tristana will not be able to join this one, so it might be a 5v4 in favor of JDG, but they are getting a lot of free time here for Lwx's Tristana. They eventually, FPX will just back themselves away, but they forced everyone to congregate. They forced everyone to move up and to deal with that potential team fight threat. Nuguri jumps in, gets the Mega Gnar, might be able to take down Zoom, who has to pop the Dominus. He will not pop his flash, and he gets himself out alive. And despite all the pressure, all the ganks that have been thrown up towards this top side, it's FPX and Nuguri who seem to have the advantage.
Yeah, I don't really like that Herald play coming in from JD Gaming. We see a lot of LPL teams do this, but typically, if you can split 4-1, harass them on the Herald, slow their tempo down while your AD carry is solo split pushing, you actually get more gold. Look at Tristana right now. She actually took 4 plates during that Herald trade, and with the tempo advantage, with FPX backing out earlier, they actually now pincer her in the 3v1. I think that is far better than actually getting the Herald and having to look for a lane to use it, because JD Gaming don't even have priority.
That, honestly, like it's simple maths. You're only guaranteed 2 plates with the Herald, so you're not guaranteed a full tower. By not sending Lwx, not only does he get a crap ton of farms, so he puts himself about 10 CS ahead of the Xayah, he gets all of the plates solo and the first tower of the game, and you've done no, that's just simple maths. You lose, sir. You do not, go back to class. You need to get your tests redone, because that was just a bad decision. JDG, and this is why we are so critical of this team. This is why we're not being super high up and being positive about them in certain ways, because they make decisions like this that just put them into such negative positions, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that was JD Gaming with a bit of projection. JD Gaming will take any fight they see, and they expect other teams to do the same. So they go up to Herald, they say, hey, we're losing our lanes, let's hope that these guys come in. FPX do the smart thing, they don't, and now they still have lane priority in both side lanes. It's so easy for Rell to leave the bottom lane for Chris to just roam up and to keep tabs on Kanavi. Kanavi has been coming up here. This is the 4th time he's been here. You could count it as a 5th time if you take the retreat as a different time. So it's just not really working out for JD Gaming. I think this is one of their worst drafts ever. I really don't like this draft. I don't know what the hell they were trying to do with this one. And the way they're playing it is just kind of throwing a Hail Mary against FPX. FPX are way too smart.
Oh. Wobble does land. Flash was burnt by Beichuan, but no one really, again, there to be able to commit. They do drop down the Kled ultimate, and then they get to Sett out of it as well. Now this fight can really start to come in. Jump in from Lwx. He tries to get himself first blood, traded back. As Kayn gets that, Sett goes down. It's a 1-for-1 trade. I think if JDG, you're happy enough with that, but it was FPX who kind of got caught.
Yeah, that was a good usage of abilities right there, forcing Beichuan to actually flash out early. And I believe he had to use a Lilting Alibi in a bit of a disadvantage in that fight. So they come in, Kanavi comes in first, he takes a lot of the aggro, and then is able to walk out with the Umbral Trespass. So pretty well done on that front, but Zoom is going to have to pay the price of Lwx taking this tower down too early.
Yep. And Lwx picking up even more gold. He's now got a kill. He's the Kraken Slayer. He's going to be able to put in more damage onto this top side, get some more plates as the rest of JDG around this bot side. They will trade a dragon, so this is more of an equal trade here. JDG able to get themselves that to stop the stack here, but you can see Lwx just sharing this gold. He's going to be a monster. We talk about Tristana being a late game carry. He's going to be a late game carry in the mid game. He has so much gold. Yeah,
this is pretty damn crazy. I wonder if he's going to go into some of the more snowbally items. If you can get a Storm Razors up second, it actually is very advantageous on the map. You can slow people down. It's a lot of damage compared to something like, oh, but we have Nuguri going in.
Nuguri does find Yagao, who's forced to flash over into the Dragon Pit. Yes, they get themselves the turret in bot side, so they do trade that one there. It's still about a 2,000 gold for FPX, and again, like I said, all that gold being fed lovingly into Lwx's pockets. But it's not over just yet. You do actually have quite a lot of engage opportunities, pick opportunities, I should say, from JDG. You have ways of catching FPX out. And like we said, the opening 15 minutes for FPX have been fantastic regardless. Nuguri has always looked great in the laning phase. No one's ever questioned that. It's beyond that point. It's when we get to the team fights is when we start to question FPX. And that's when JDG really need to start and find some kind of advantage. Like if they can get on top of Lwx, that entire gold advantage is gone.
True. I want to see how JD Gaming actually come into these team fights, though. Their engage is a bit lackluster. Like, they have a Juggernaut. They have 2 Juggernauts, actually. And their only really good way of engaging is actually with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. And you don't always land those. There's a bit of chance involved in that one. So the way JD Gaming actually has to play this one is step onto the objective first. But they're losing so much side lane priority that's actually fairly difficult to do. So what I expect out of this matchup is for FPX continuing to have this this Gnar in the side lane, make sure they can have this pushed out. Tristana is going to win out on the shove war in the mid lane as well. And if they force JD Gaming to engage, I don't think JD Gaming actually has the tools. They're going to have a very difficult time coming into them.
I think that's the difference as well between the two compositions. You talked about how you just really didn't like JDG's ones. It was very much throwing at the wall to see what you could find out, and we found out that the Kayn into the Gnar and the Renekton, it doesn't really give you anything as such, so they weren't able to gain any kind of advantages. You can see there 10 plates in total taken, Lwx getting the majority of that gold as well, and Rift Herald being started up here by FPX, and this is fine for them, honestly. They're not really trading anything. Nuguri recognizes that he's probably going to get ganked now in a second as Kanavi finds himself here. Mega will be there, so Kanavi needs to be a little bit careful. Gets stunned up by the Mega, and Kanavi has to go inside of the Gnar to try and get himself away, and he flashes away. Nuguri is not done. Nuguri is still pushing forward. Nuguri 1v2 coming out on top. Yagao forced to cleanse, and now they can jump straight on top of him. Sett, though, is the savior for Yagao. Doinb here, but Sett picks up a kill, saves the rest of his team. Doinb will be able to take down the Sett in the end, but a nice little turnaround over what was honestly an overforce from JDG.
Yeah, that was a bit tragic to walk, as we are going to see Beichuan find the tower and go in.
Yep, they get the cleanse there off Loken, but Zoom gets knocked back here by the explosive shot. And Lwx still putting down damage. The Kraken Slayer so good at just ripping through these health bars. And now mid lane's taken down. All tier 1s taken down by FPX. They can now push that vision line. We've pushed down the entries of which they can get Nuguri onto this backside. And JDG, they're going to find less and less space to try and find any of these picks.
Yeah, it's so difficult for this comp to get anything done here. The Herald drops down into mid lane. That's what we're seeing in the mini screen. And I only have 3 words for JD Gaming. Nice draft, bro.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is terrible. Like, getting forced into the Kayn in this situation just feels so bad. They are going for the blue Kayn as well, so my predictions with the red Kayn was incorrect, but I'm not sure what target they're actually hoping to look for here. I don't think Lilia's actually a good target.
The thing they have to go for, it's kill Lwx. You kill Lwx, a lot of your consistent DPS is down, and FPX won't have as much of a team fight as such, but I just feel like right now, getting on top of him when he has Flash, Cleanse, his Rocket Jump, he has so many people to jump into his way as well to try and block any of these skill shots or any of these kind of, people diving on top of him. That's a very, very big, if as such as we see now. Nuguri gonna push in the top side and TP in around the dragon. There's the ult as Doinb finds himself on top of Kanavi. Crisp is there on the backside as well, and you can see that JDG's health bars are melting away. Yagao being jumped on as well. He will fall. It's a double kill. Hop, skip, and a jump. It's a triple kill. He's gonna keep going. It's not a quadra kill, as it is going to be Beichuan taking that kill away from Lwx, but 4 kills. Kanavi just about gets himself away, but a dragon now in favor of FPX. Gold is at about 4,500 now, and Lwx is just going to be impossible to kill.
I want to say this, but I sort of saw it coming. This is just not a winnable draft.
It's almost like draft is important or something.
This is actually really painful to see from JD Gaming. There's a couple problems with this draft, as we mentioned. Their power spikes are very different. The Zoe and Renekton actually want to snowball early game, while Kayn is a very, very weak early game jungler. He doesn't have his full kit pre-6. So they want to get into objective. I think this is the right way to play team fights if you are JD Gaming, but look at the flanking positions. They find Kanavi first. He never touches Lwx. His ultimate doesn't find a target. When you're going up against a Kled, you never want to ult the Kled. The Kled's a bruiser. He's basically a tank on this composition. So he didn't find any good targets. He wasn't able to reduce the DPS coming out from FPX, and the 2 bruisers, they can't reach the backline. There's no backline access on this composition, so they just kind of waddle around and die.
Yeah, and your Renekton isn't really going to be drafting, or your Kayn isn't really going to be drafting towards tanky stats. So Lwx with the Phantom Dancer, Kraken Slayer, moving. Even has a stopwatch now, so even more. And look, he didn't even have to use a single summoner in that last engage. So how do you get on top of him? How do you kill him? Spoiler alert, you don't. It's just becoming so difficult. It would take a massive error from FPX, and JDG really not looking good in this particular first game. I really would like to see them shore up the draft in the next one, because this just hasn't worked out. And honestly, like you said, this was kind of lost from draft, where they just gave away their solo lanes too early. They didn't really have any answers towards the bot side, and the Kayn jungle just doesn't work.
Last pick, Kayn jungle. Here comes the counter, baby. You want to know what it is? It's Kayn.
LS is screaming somewhere, I can imagine.
Yeah, I don't really see the win cons for JD Gaming, honestly. They're very far behind, and they don't have the scaling or teamfight in their favor. Maybe they can scrap something out. Like, the only thing I can think of is maybe Yagao with the miracle play. This is his main champion.
Yep, they get on top of LWX, and that's the damage. He goes golden, Ignite still ticking. He should still fall. There's Kayn. Now, that's the fight you need if you're on the side of JDG. The carry is dead. Can they continue on this, or are they just too far behind? Lilting Lullaby comes down onto Tsuku carries, but they are not able to finish those ones off. Kanavi backs himself away. They get 1 for none, and they back off, but importantly, they got the shutdown onto the Tristana. There is the trouble bubble. As the Rell goes in onto the top side, they actually get the Sett and the Xayah double kill for Beichuan, and they get 3 kills out of nothing, and FPX turn back onto the Baron.
Yeah, JD Gaming could have won that. They were a little bit too greedy trying to follow up the Sleepy Trouble bubble that landed onto Kled. He was dismounted, so they wanted to kill him right off of that, but good body blocking coming out from FPX. They don't get the damage, and they're able to clean up the fight with Rell's crash down, stopping the engage there. So it was a good job for the most part on JD Gaming's end, and I don't know what LWX was doing in that mid lane, but JD Gaming kind of throw it right back in the end of the fight.
Yeah, you gotta keep it interesting, gotta keep it spicy, you know. We see as LWX.
Okay,
he just straight up gets caught.
LWX
it's just straight up, he jumps up.
Oh my god.
Just caught. Yeah, just forgot that Sett had an ultimate that can supersede his rocket jump.
Oh god. All right, yeah. LWX is trying, man. LWX is trying to give us a game. Let's go. You know, he's doing a good job. I have to commend him on that one. This is where disaster really struck. JD Gaming, so far so good. You force them out, and then they try to go for the Kled.
Yeah, and Chris beautifully set up to just try and CC everyone, stop any kind of forward momentum. And we do have a pause as we come back off of the replay. Nothing happened while we were in the replay. We wanted to pause until we came back just in case, and we'll take stock and take a breather, as it is there is still hope and life for JDG. They did pick up a big shutdown, of course. They were able to get that kill, I believe, onto Kayn, so he's able to get up to, you know, a more assassin-y style, if you will. But it's a tough battle to try and come in. If LWX keeps throwing it away like that, they have a chance.
They do have a very good chance. I just want to remind everyone that LWX used his cleanse, his flash, and his stopwatch after he jumped in himself onto LvMao. So it's a bit painful to say this, but LWX is basically the hope for JD Gaming. He's the imposter. He's the one that you have to go through if you want to win this one. And honestly, he's the only win condition. There isn't much else for JD Gaming coming into this one.
I wonder, so I'm thinking, have you watched or played many Among Us games? You mentioned the imposter. Have you played many of it?
No, but I have had enough sessions on Discord where I actually hear hysterics talking about it.
See, the thing is that I love Among Us because it's a very fun kind of just like, you know, interesting. But there is mods to it now where you have a thing called the Jester, where you're technically a crewmate, but you're trying to get yourself killed. I feel like LWX was the Jester right there. Like, I feel like he was just like, no, guys, I got to get myself killed. That's how I win the game. And then it's just a little bit unfortunate there for him. And JDG, you'll take that. You'll take that. You know, I honestly feel like had they taken that, the fight backs up, they reset, not that bad. But then they try and overforce the issue. They try and say, look, LWX is dead. We can go for a little bit more here. It doesn't quite work out. And you can see just how hard it is to take down things like the Gnar and the Kled when they're just this far ahead, when they have this many items, that even if you do get a little bit of damage down, you're just not able to completely take them out.
Yeah, Kled remounts very easy in these team fights. Takedown does give him that extra courage to remount, and this is a tank Kled, so even when he's dismounted, he's actually still very hard to kill. He has pretty good resistances, and we have seen things like the Gargoyle Stone Plate being built, so when you dismount, you actually pop a massive shield, and you have those extra resistances to boost you up. The way Doinb has been playing this, it's mainly just been an initiator as well. So I think they need to prioritize their targets. Honestly, against this team, LWX is the only one you can ever hope to kill. The Lilia probably has Xayah's already, so I don't think she's going to be that good of a target, and you are banking on... this is what I hate about the draft. We have to go back to it, but I'll make it quick. But you're basically banking on Blue Kayn and Zoe. The only one... You drafted 2 picks to kill 1 person on the enemy team, and that's it. And I'm like, it's just not worth it, man.
Yeah, just to give everyone a bit of an update, Doinb had reported an in-game issue. We are currently investigating said issue to see if it was a game-breaking bug or maybe just a visual cue. Of course, we will keep you guys updated as much as we possibly can. Once we get any information, we will let you guys know. Of course, no one wants to keep the delay in game, especially not in the middle of a game. So as soon as we are able to get back into game, we will get back into it. So again, biggest apologies, but of course, we want to make sure the players are 100% ready to take on this game, especially when it could be something like, the Samira bug that led into the Azir bug that we saw in EU a week or 2 ago.
Yeah, the reasons there are so weird. Like, Viego somehow changed these champions. Like, he definitely went pretty deep into the coding for everyone, and now we're having a lot of issues come out. 11.4 is actually already being tested in what used to be the OPL, so hopefully we will get that patch soon enough, but I hope we're not going to have too many Viego issues happen with the game.
Yeah, the 11.4 is in LCS and LEC as well. They are just having it with Viego disabled. We had a lot of these issues again when the Death Realm was introduced for Mordekaiser, where it's just like, we've added a new layer to the game, so things don't quite interact the same way as we never thought they would ever have to interact with. So curious to see how that one goes. And you can see the difference between LWX and Loken right now. A Phantom Dancer and a Kraken before he even had his boots set up on top of his Kraken Slayer. So LWX is still very much a scary man, and he has the Baron buff, and you can see how he just melts through these turrets, so they have to still respect him. But if he's willing to throw away all these different fights, as I say, that Kanavi might be in a little bit of trouble. Crisp jumps in straight away, and Kanavi is not a tanky boy, and he will be taken down before the fight has even begun. The turret being focused now, everyone jumping on top of Yagao. Yagao is the next one to fall. It's all FPX all the time. JDG will fall 4-0. Baron buff up. They've got a minion wave. This is the game.
When I was checking my speedrun timer today, I checked it for EDG versus Rogue Warrior. I didn't imagine that it would actually be FPX versus JD Gaming. That might break our record. And to give everyone knowledge, it is 22 minutes and 22 seconds. So it's not going to happen just yet, but I'm still surprised by how dominant this game has been from FPX.
Not this game, but maybe the next. FPX in less than 25 minutes dispatch JDG. They do take down LWX. The Nexus is still yet to fall, but it's all just about padding KDAs. FPX reported a bug. We had a pause, and within about a minute of them doing that, the game was over.
You know what the bug was?
I'm not quite sure.
JD Gaming's draft. That was the bug. They were like,
My God,
wait a minute. Was their coach allowed on
they're
stage?
already dead.
But that was the weirdest draft I've seen this entire split. That was so bad from JD Gaming. I can't imagine what their thought process was from that one. You never see red side double solo laners. No opportunity for flex. Two picks that have to get ahead early game, or they have no late game, and then they draft a last pick Kayn to go with it. It's like, there's literally no win situation for this draft. Like, the only way you win with this draft is if you are just that much better than your opponents. This is a snowball draft, a draft where you are 100% confident in your own abilities, and I think they went way too far. FPX are not a team to be trifled with.
Yeah, honestly, and you said it like, this is a draft you pick when you're trying to style on your opponents. A G2-esque draft, if you will, where you're trying to go, look, whatever, we know we're amazing. I don't even think JDG have that liberty to say that right now. We saw them go to 3 games against TT earlier on last week. Like, this isn't a team that is exceptionally, you know, pushing themselves forward and smashing all these other teams and just got a little bit overzealous. This was just straight up a bad decision, and FPX rightfully punished them so damn hard. That was less than 25 minutes for them to take down a team that was in back-to-back finals, a winner of Spring in 2020, a quarter-finalist in the World Championship. FPX didn't even get to go to the World Championship last year, and they just dispatched it. And again, the biggest question mark for me is they've changed nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening in JD Gaming land. It's pretty interesting that even after Lunar New Year break, we haven't seen Mystic show up on the roster at all. So maybe we have some prizes in store for us, but honestly, this was a bit of a throwaway game from JD Gaming. I think they realized how bad their draft was pretty early on, just judging by their player cams and kind of the nervous laughters that they were giving us. So a bit of a throwaway. I hope they reset their mentality and give us something much better in this game. In terms of the gameplay, the only thing I would say was that Herald play was very questionable from JD Gaming. You never do that when you're facing a Tristana and you're losing priority on both side lanes. I think there is a time and place to actually force the Herald play. Like, if you are skirmishing composition, if you want early 5v5s, that makes sense. But I don't think you do it when you're losing out on both side lanes in priority and when you're up against a Tristana. That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, Lwx finally gets a positive win right on Tristana. Historically, he was 5-5. Today, he goes 6-5, so he'll be very, very happy with that one, despite his best efforts to throw away the game a little bit towards that mid-game. And for FPX, honestly, this is exactly what we thought we would see. They just, you know, they got a strong early game, which we expect. They were able to snowball from there, and it just felt like JDG were just floundering, a fish on land, not knowing where to go, what to do, kind of going like, if I get one good flop that smacks you right in the eye, I might be able to get back into the ocean. But it's never going to happen. It's such an unlikely scenario.
JD Gaming, the Magikarp of drafting. That's what you're telling me right now.
That's the thing. They're a Magikarp, and then sometimes they could be a Gyarados. But definitely today, they're a bit of a Magikarp. And yeah, I'm not quite sure where to take this. I think JDG just have to change their entire draft and really try and fix this up, because that just didn't work. And nothing about it works.
I will say there is a potential weakness being signaled here by FPX. We saw a lot of the jungles just taken away from from JD Gaming. So it seems like they want to make sure Beichuan doesn't meet fierce opposition in that jungle position, and that might be something that Kanavi can exploit if this time they give him an earlier pick.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do. JDG have a lot to think about, but we're going to send it to a quick break. When we return, picks and bans for game 2.